Have you ever started a new game, spent hours on it, enjoyed it for the first 10 to 20 hours, and then just kinda lost interest because you kept doing the same thing over and over only to stop because you don't feel like you're making much progress? Well, that's V-Rising. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with the individual pieces that make up this game. The idea is simple. Once upon a time, vampires ruled the land until humanity rose up and defeated them. Ages on, you rise from a deep slumber and begin to build your power to rule the land again. That's all the story there is to this game, which is why it's so odd for it to fail in its meta implementation. Mechanically, V-Rising works on a familiar gameplay loop. Collect resources, craft equipment, hunt bosses, unlock new recipe, repeat. It's incredibly simple, but unfortunately, the game's progression is tied to, and debatably over-influenced by, randomization. The crux of the issue is the unlocking of new crafting recipes. As a form of RPG, you have an equipment level that essentially serves as your character level. This means to take on more powerful enemies, you have to upgrade all of the equipment you use. However, new crafting recipes fall into two camps. The first are plans for crucial crafting stations or reagents. For instance, the furnace or smelter you make in the early game can process all of the ores, but you have to unlock the recipes before you can craft any of the ingots you'll eventually need. As you track and hunt new and more powerful bosses across the map, these are the recipes you unlock: plans for crafting stations and reagents. The second set of plans, though, come from either getting lucky and having complete equipment plans drop when raiding camps and settlements, or collecting enough paper to randomly discover an unknown recipe at your research station. It's this second type of recipe that's necessary to upgrade your armor and weapons to continue eating your way up the chain of bosses in the game. Now, like I said, there's nothing wrong with this, and taken at face value, these individual mechanics work just fine. However, I also said that the game fails on its meta implementation of the mechanics, which is my fancy way of referring to the infuriating process of endlessly unlocking crafting recipes for castle decorations when you're trying to find the recipe for your next weapon upgrade. Combine with this how the map of V-Rising is pretty big and you're not allowed to take any crafting materials through the small handful of teleport shrines, and you have a real significant time-wasting grind fest. When you put all of these mechanics into play and let them bounce off of each other, the mid-game looks a bit like this. Beat a boss, unlock a new crafting recipe, begin making the materials for your new equipment even though you don't yet know how to make the equipment, leave and raid multiple camps, get tons of useless aesthetic decoration recipes, realize you can't teleport back and spend 2 in-game days returning to base. Hope you can unlock the weapon recipes you need by gambling at the research station, only to get more useless decorations. Go back out to try again. Find no recipes at all because they just aren't dropping. Quit the game because all that took 2 to 3 hours and you're getting bored of doing the exact same thing over and over while not finding the only recipes that have actual impact on gameplay. Now, the way I put all of this makes it seem like V-Rising is a terrible game with little to no redeeming qualities, which is not the case. The game does work, it's just a particularly small part of the gameplay loop that can so easily hold you back. It's just as possible for you to get super lucky and find all of the useful crafting recipes you need, and then end up being held back by some of the absurdly long crafting times at the smeltery. The point here is that V-Rising is a good game, and it is a lot of fun to play. There's just something to be said about at least feeling like you're getting somewhere, and the mid-game canceling that out by so easily becoming an excruciating grind. Even so, there's a lot to enjoy. Hunting bosses is fun, expanding your castle is a pleasure. Even using all those decorations that clutter the research station can make for a chill and enjoyable evening. It's a situation where anywhere from 80 to 90% of the game is working both beautifully and as intended, but the 10 to 20% of it that gets in the way can stop you so dead in your tracks that you just give up. This game is new and in early access though, so things can be sorted out with time. Also, if you want to get your hands dirty, the game is highly modifiable by just tweaking numbers in the game's setting file. If you mess with things there, you can make it possible to teleport with a full inventory, amongst other things. Bottom line, V-Rising is a bit rough around the corners, but still a lot of fun to play. If you pick it up now, understand you'll get around 20 hours out of it before the grinding will probably start to become a problem. As an added note though, it's designed to be played with friends, as trying to solo some of the bosses is no joke. I'd say it's worth the money and a shot, but it's also totally understandable if you want to let it simmer and hope it finishes cooking by the time the full release rolls around. Anyways, thanks for watching and listening. I'm William Strife, and this video was made possible by monthly viewer donations at strife.solutions. If you enjoy my work, please consider contributing so I can continue making them. Until next time though, I'll see you later.